So, The Boys Season 3 has come and passed. We got to see our literally me characters again. You know, every Sigma Ligma male's comfort characters have returned, and some new ones, like Soldier Boy. Not that one, this one. Now, that's real music. But although I'd love to talk about him and Homelander and Butcher the whole duration of this video, unfortunately, players, we've got to talk about the duds as well. Like Frenchie. Frenchie sucked complete ass this season. I mean...
Actually, I thought he was pretty good this season.
Whoa, what the hell was that?
Hey, it's Ft.Hatrickfilms. I'm here to do the Boys collab we were gonna do like 6 months ago when the season was released, remember?
Fake news. Absolutely not. I have impeccable memory. Some would say the best. You must be the one misremembering, sir.
Don't you remember this?
Wait, what? Sir, I don't know what kind of dark arts Photoshop swindler skills you have, but that was not me, okay? You need to get the hell out of my video.
So, Frenchie's character was on the back burner, but he did still have some pretty key moments for his development.
Like what? When he got shot?
Yeah, when he got shot making the nerve gas that ultimately put down Soldier Boy.
Did it though? He made it out of the season, so if anything, Frenchie didn't really do anything, sir. So I guess, you know, it's time for you to skedaddle.
Well, actually, it seems like the show is setting up a lot for his character in the future.
I tell him to leave, and he remains.
Okay, anyways, Frenchie's character had a lot of setting up for his future. Throughout the season, he was urged by Kimiko to just kind of pick up and leave the boys, as there really wasn't anything left for him there. Frenchie, however, is a pretty loyal person, especially to Butcher. He was even compared to that of a dog by little Nina, a dog on a leash who just follows orders. He also was responsible for being able to identify and ultimately make the nerve agent that could subdue Soldier Boy, and he even played a big part in helping Kimiko get her powers back and also realize the importance of her powers. Overall, his character did have a mini arc in the background of the crazy events of this season. He realized he is his own person and that he isn't just a dog on a leash who follows orders, and that he may be able to leave this life and live in peace one day.
Are you done yet? I wish he would leave, okay? He should leave Kimiko behind. I also know someone else who, you know, could do some leaving right about now.
Yo, this is boring. Can we talk about Homelander now?
Listen, guy, we have a process around these parts. We don't just go willy-nilly into other people's videos who have perfect memory and ask to start speaking about Homelander, okay? Just sit back, shut the hell up, and I'll allow you to remain in this production. So, obviously Kimiko had an amazing arc.
Seriously, her arc was so pointless. She was happy she lost her powers, but then she just instantly wanted them back.
Well, you see, it's way deeper than that. You see, Kimiko's village was raided by terrorists and a liberation army, and then she was smuggled into the US for Compound V trials. She never got to choose, and now she gets to. She realized she needed her powers to protect the people she cares about. The whole reason why her and Frenchie got caught in the first place was because she couldn't fight back, and that'll probably translate to season 4 with the boys realizing the same thing.
She gets her powers back and Frenchie still gets shot. So much for protecting the people you care about. And honestly, she should just leave the team too.
And now wait.
Didn't Soldier Boy also slam her through a desk?
Listen, man, Kimiko is the show. What don't you get about that? She is literally the heart of the show.
Man, you're such a simp. You only like her because she's hot.
Whoa. Really? In the year of 2023, our Lord, Ft.Hatrickfilms, you're gonna slander me like that? Wow. I've only ever been the nicest to you. Just a sublime bloke to yourself. And you call me that? Really? Listen, there's no simp in me, okay? When I'm sick, I don't even have symptoms. I have examples of illness, my guy. So cool your jets. And I mean, it doesn't hurt that it's Karen Fukuhara.
Simp.
Wait.
Simp.
No, just give me
Simp.
The Deep. I mean, you want to talk about Sims? The Deep is the biggest simp cuck loser of them all, okay? He literally fucks a fish this season, and he got divorced. What a bitch, right?
Yeah, he was kind of a bitch the whole season. His wife pretty much did everything for him at the beginning of the season. He does rather tragic things to a squid, and he also gets bullied into doing whatever Homelander tells him to do, like becoming the head of crime analytics, even though he has no idea what that is about or what he is doing there. And also, he ate Timothy the octopus.
Yeah, dude literally had a painting of the guy that made him swallow his friend in his room where he's been getting swallowed. He even killed a vice presidential candidate for Homelander.
After Homelander told him he wasn't even shit.
Fags. Damn, maybe you're not so bad after all, Ft.Hatrickfilms. I'm glad we could both come to the understanding that he is the real simp loser here.
Yeah, this season has been rough on him. This was literally the last shot we see of him in this season.
This actually reminds me of someone else.
Yeah, she's kind of similar to the Deep in the way that she is kind of a cuck in her position as well. She's in a position of power, but still really just does whatever Homelander tells her to do.
Yeah, like she might be the boss technically and like surface level wise, but she's really at the mercy of this maniac as well. She has to manage the most unstable and like volatile individuals in the world. It's not a wonder she's losing her hair.
Yeah, she's almost completely bald now. Is she trying to change the hierarchy of power in the DC universe or something?
Yeah, like she is a corporate shill, but I mean, you can tell she knows right from wrong, and she's just kind of fighting her humanity to be this fake plastic person, or else everybody would see how scared she is.
Yeah, there's that scene with her and Starlight where Starlight's trying to find out what happened to Queen Maeve, and you can tell from Ashley's facial reaction at first that she does want to help Starlight, but she kind of immediately switches up and doesn't because she is ultimately in fear of what Homelander would do to her if he found out.
Hopefully in the end she has a change of heart.
Kind of like A-Train?
Well, yeah, in a way, except, you know, not so literal, and hopefully not, you know, a racist heart transplant type of dealio.
Oh, and isn't he getting his own movie too?
Yeah, I guess they're giving anybody a movie these days. But damn, A-Train had a hell of an arc this season with not being able to use his powers anymore, or else his heart would go pop. So, you know, naturally when you can't use your heart anymore to do great things, typically you just start to do, well, do whatever this is.
It seems like A-Train losing his powers made him very desperate to make up for the lack of powers by just doing things he didn't genuinely believe in. He also got to experience firsthand the negative consequences that can come from soups when his brother was paralyzed by one.
Yeah, now he knows a fraction of what it was like for Huey when he killed Robin. The lack of powers this season seemed to bring back his humanity, even for a second. That apology he gave him in season 1 compared to the apology he gave Huey at Herogasm was night and day. That's probably one of the most genuine moments he's had in the show, and now that he cares, the people that tried to help him before just won't have him.
A-Train will have to deal with the fact that he now has Blue Hawk's heart as his own, and that his community and the people he cares about might honestly reject him because he's also going to have to publicly stand up for Blue Hawk after his death, and his death will be twisted in a way to make Blue Hawk seem good. And I think season 4 might honestly explore A-Train's guilt about having to admire Blue Hawk even though he's the person responsible for his brother's condition.
Yeah, another person having to publicly be fake at the expense of their soul, heart, and family. Sounds like politics.
A-Train being deceptive, kind of like a politician. And speaking of deceptive politicians, Victoria Newman was definitely a deceptive politician who was conniving the entire season.
For real, she legit double-crossed the ultimate double-crosser. Stan Edgar. The dude practically raised her, and she sold his ass out.
Well, it's like Homelander said, that they are just assets that Vought uses when they need them. I mean, how do we know that Edgar wasn't just using her for specific goals that he wanted? Her powers can be really valuable for a corporation like Vought, especially in the courtroom scene that we saw in season 2, where she's just able to take out many higher up individuals without it seeming like it was her. It's an ultimate weapon to have in that regard. She can take out soups, she can take out politicians, she could even take out all of the world leaders if she wanted to.
She even got the Fresca guy.
Oh man, she's already getting started.
But that's where they get you, cause although she's acting like a typical sleazeball politician, half her motivation is protecting her daughter from Homelander, going as far as to inject her with Compound V. She even was trying to get Edgar to pull back so Homelander didn't come for him. Even if she was just being used as a puppet by Edgar, she still cared for him, and I think he actually cared for her.
Stan Edgar seems like a pretty calculated, cold executive who does his job, but maybe he saw Newman as an asset and cared for her at the same time. He felt pretty genuine whenever he talked to her.
I mean, Stan has been purposefully strategic from all his time on the show. I mean, he set up Soldier Boy to get sold to the Russians because Homelander was just born. The man was making military deals for Temp V and was going to totally rebrand Vought into a pharmaceutical company. Mofo was truly... He's also the only one I think Homelander truly fears. I mean, he called Homelander insecure to his face and didn't die.
Yeah, Stan Edgar really has like...
ubiquitous wrists?
I mean, I was just gonna say he had balls, but that works too, I guess.
I mean, speaking of mofos with Riz, one of the best characters this season was undoubtedly MM, okay? He really got to develop this season. Mother's Milk has to deal with Butcher and Huey crossing the line in the sand and having to maintain his integrity in an extremely one-sided fight against the Soups.
honest. MM really is kind of the glue of the group. There was that scene where Butcher even kind of admits this when he was talking about why he recruited MM in the first place, because MM is someone that would be that line of morality, and he could take care of the boys no matter how hard Butcher would be on them. It's kind of like a yin-yang. They both keep things in balance.
Yeah, he really levels the group of pretty explosive individuals out. He does all of this while going through his struggle with severe OCD, which last season, you know, we just thought it was him being a bit of a clean freak, but we understand more intimately what it is. Him dealing with the trauma and guilt, having gotten excited to see Soldier Boy as a child, waking up his grandfather to see him, and inadvertently getting his grandfather killed when Soldier Boy throws a truck into the building and his grandpa getting caught in the path. And now he's played with the idea that if, you know, he doesn't obey his tics, Soldier Boy will return. This revelation pouring out of him to Annie in the car scene on the way to Herogasm. Laz was acting in this scene. Coupled with the flashbacks we got this season, it really amplified the weight of this scene and the build up to it.
And on top of all of this, he's also having his issues with his family. He has to dedicate a lot of time and effort into helping the boys, and it caused problems for his family in the past, and it is still now causing problems. He also has to deal with Todd, which is his ex-wife's new boyfriend. And I mean, have you seen Todd, and have you seen MM's ex-wife? How did he manage to end up with her?
Dude, I know he doesn't have any money because he's a fucking teacher, so he must have that love sausage.
He has true unspeakable riz.
Yeah, he has to deal with this cretin all over his ex, and then with him spending time with his daughter and potentially having her adopt his political ideology of worshiping Homelander, very much paralleling all the politics of 2020. That was so tiring.
Yeah, I hate politics.
I just tell people whatever opinion they have. I have the opposite. They usually take that pretty well.
Yeah, I don't see anybody taking that too well.
Well, I've seen someone take it pretty well before.
Whoa, Maeve is a lot more than just that. She was really big in helping the boys earlier in the season, getting them intel on Supes, and she also gets Butcher the Temp V that he uses to fight against Homelander.
Well, if you would have let me finish, I was going to say, respectfully of course, Maeve is one of the best characters on the show. She kind of always comes through and saves the day. She basically led the ass whooping on Stormfront last season. She as well provided the intel on the big bad this season, Soldier Boy. She was such a clutch character that Homelander had to take her off the board and trap her. Homelander even respected her enough that he wouldn't do her like he did Becca.
Like a gentleman, he was just only going to artificially harvest her eggs.
Chivalry isn't dead?
She is a very impactful character this season, especially at the end. She's able to go head to head with Homelander for a bit and do some genuine damage against him, and she ultimately sacrifices herself by jumping out of the window with Soldier Boy, and both of them seemingly fall to their deaths.
Or so we thought. You know, she ends up surviving thankfully and gets her wish of no longer having powers and can live a normal life with her lady, but I'm not gonna lie, I think she'll eventually get her powers back because, I mean, did you see what she stuck in Homelander's ear?
Yeah, it seemed like Homelander could have legitimately lost that fight with how well Maeve was keeping up with him.
For real, and she was working off that eye gouge from before and all those combos, and she still held her own.
She even had the upper hand on Homelander near the end there, but again, she ultimately decided to make the huge sacrifice, and I think she will get her powers back eventually in the future because she is a true force against Homelander, and the boys might need her in that aspect in the future.
I mean, that's the move. Also, if anybody has the gif of Maeve punching Homelander in the ballsack, please send that in for research purposes, of course.
Research? What kind of research are you conducting? Are you scientists now?
Anyways, at least Maeve made it through the season. I know she's kind of fucked up right now, but Noir is gone, unfortunately.
It does seem like Noir is going to be back, though. There are some set photos already that include him, and it's possible that for next season, he's going to be a clone, which is an adjusted adaptation of the storyline in the comics, where Noir is a clone of Homelander.
Hopefully that is the case and not some type of, you know, Marvel Studios fake out scenario. He had some seriously good development this season, what with his past self and flashbacks, revealing his aspirations to become a movie star like Eddie Murphy, and his cartoon coping mechanism that helped him deal with the trauma Soldier Boy put him through, both mentally and physically. Good thing they were able to jump him successfully. That's why when he sees Soldier Boy is back, he immediately dips.
When Noir eventually comes back to Homelander, he's ready to fight Soldier Boy with him, and Homelander is happy that Noir is back. But then you get to the part where Homelander knows about Soldier Boy and how he is his father and asks Noir if he knew. Noir did know, but he didn't want to tell Homelander because of the trauma Noir had because of Soldier Boy's abuse and out of fear of how Homelander would react to that information.
Yeah, like if he would have told Homelander, he would have been like a 10-year-old kid flying to Russia to break Soldier Boy out of jail.
Just like Vin Diesel with Brittany Griner.
Exactly.
The show could play off of the comics where he is a clone of Homelander, kind of doing all these evil things, and that ended up making Homelander himself look really bad.
I can totally see Noir hiding his Homelander powers and then setting up Homelander all throughout the next seasons. You know, Starlight won't be the only one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool how Starlight was able to expose Homelander in that scene with her live stream on her phone. I honestly thought it showed pretty good growth on her part compared to the scene in season 2 where she's in the elevator with Homelander and he chokes her. Here by the elevator instead, she has the control in this scene now as opposed to season 2 when Homelander had all of the control. It shows that Annie is starting to learn and pick up on how to fight Homelander more efficiently.
Yeah, she's been given more power this season and her influence has grown, which she's been pretty successful utilizing. She was reluctant to take on the role of co-captain that Stan Edgar offered her, but when she realized she would finally have the power to make positive change, she jumped on it. She also rejected, much in the same way Mother's Milk did, crossing the moral line, refusing to work with unsavory characters like Victoria and Newman.
Her influence, especially on social media, might honestly be one of her most powerful assets. Using it, she was able to free Maeve with the hashtag she used, hashtag free Maeve, and also in her live stream after Herogasm where she exposes to her following and the world about all the crazy stuff that has been going on with the Seven, Vought, and specifically Homelander behind the scenes.
That is true. One of the few times a celebrity starts a hashtag and doesn't make it all about themselves. But even with all that influence, she still ran into so many issues getting things done. Homelander rehired the Deep, started a public relationship with her on a whim, and even killed Supersonic, telling her that if she didn't quit plotting, that would be Huey next.
No, Huey would be alright. Look at this Sigma right here.
Holy Spirit.
A true Sigma Lord, grossly overestimating himself in a combat situation that he has no chance of winning.
Honestly though, in reality, especially at the beginning of the season and in previous seasons, Huey has always been kind of a bitch, or just the weakest link in the group. He starts off in this season working with Newman to put Supes away the proper way, but after he finds out who Newman actually is, everything just kind of falls apart from there.
So not only is his power he thought he had false, but he also has to deal with Supersonic, Annie's first boyfriend, coming back into the fray, working very closely with Annie and possessing culinary riz, something Huey couldn't even really fathom.
He's even getting cucked by Homelander himself to make things even worse. Hashtag Homelight might be the start of Huey's villain origin story.
It's the start of every Sigma's journey, unfortunately.
And all of that caused him to be so desperate to do something, which is why he continued to take Temv so much, so he could have power and not be the weak link anymore.
Yeah, he was finally able to be physically useful. He saved MM from getting executed. He was able to get a genuine sorry from A-Train for what he did to Robin, and was able to land a much-deserved punch. He was also instrumental in fighting Homelander at Herogasm. You know, he got shit done, but at a cost.
Yeah, the Temp V he was taking was slowly killing him, and it was impacting his relationship with some of the other members of the boys, and also a lot with Annie herself, because she was against the idea of it. But Huey wanted to have power so that he wouldn't be the one always in trouble and in need of saving, because he always was generally the one in that situation. But now he wanted to be the one doing the saving instead.
He realizes that's not his position to play, especially in the scene at Vought Tower when Starlight gets in Soldier Boy's eyeline. Huey has Temp V but chooses to act in a supplementary way to assist Annie to be the most powerful version of herself to knock Soldier Boy on his ass, leading to the dub.
While Huey does help the team in a good amount of ways, he honestly is still a beta, unlike the true Alpha Sigma Chad, Soldier Boy.
Haha, a true red pill based gigaligma, hashtag sell Snyderverse to Netflix cuck doomer. Jensen Ackles did a phenomenal job playing all the male role models from my childhood, teaching young men how to be strong as fuck. And damn, his voice and that hair? Come on.
In all seriousness though, I thought Soldier Boy was a pretty good addition to this season. He gave a good sense of history with the world, with Vought showing us how long they've been around, doing what they are doing to the world, and with the characters that have been around for a while like Black Noir and Mother's Milk.
Yeah, when he caved in Noir's skull and threw a fucking car at MM's home, there was a lot of depth there.
Yeah, he's the reason, like we said earlier, that MM has his OCD, and he's also why Noir has to always wear his helmet now. It seemed like his character was written to be this figure of toxic masculinity, but I think overall, he's just a horrible person, masculine or not, and that's why his old team Payback set him up to get rid of him.
Yeah, like Soldier Boy definitely had some toxic aspects to himself, but I wouldn't say he did what he did because of masculinity being inherently toxic. Even with an individual that's hyper masculine, he was really just a horrible individual. I think part of him did what he did to Noir because he was jealous and thought Noir would surpass him. He was hyper aggressive to his teammates, reckless, a drug addict, and super crass. I feel like those qualities can apply to everyone, regardless of how masculine or feminine they are. He also became expendable now that Vought had a child that could fly and was, unbeknownst to him, his son. We found out just before he was going to confront Homelander that his father was not fond of him either. He always thought of Soldier Boy as a disappointment, and that cycle continued with him and Homelander, seeing a reflection of himself that reminded him of how his father must have seen him and wanted nothing to do with it.
Soldier Boy viewed himself as a disappointment because that's how his father viewed him, and Soldier Boy tries to cover this up by being this hyper-masculine, strong, and stoic guy, but ultimately he is a disappointment to himself deep down. And I think because Homelander is his son, he sees him as an extension of himself, so to him, Homelander is a disappointment, just like Soldier Boy was to his father and how Soldier Boy views himself. Soldier Boy ultimately sees himself in Homelander as an imperfect disappointment.
Exactly. Homelander being the opposite because of, well, being deprived of his father all his life and wanting to right that wrong by being there for Ryan like no one was for him, but also seeing himself as this perfect being, this god, and therefore seeing Ryan in the same way too. There are parts of Homelander that hate himself clearly, but he breaks that cycle that Soldier Boy's father started by being able to love and accept his son.
Unlike Butcher, who wanted nothing to do with Ryan and decided to just go to the store to get milk and never return.
I would have walked away with Homelander in that last episode too. The only good thing Butcher does is give up his fixation with killing Homelander to help kill Soldier Boy.
And he did that to save Ryan, and it did show that he did care for Ryan after all. And you have to remember, Butcher is a character who also suffers from having a really bad father figure as well.
Yeah, like when he got stuck in that trance by Mindstorm and had to relive his childhood trauma, which is pretty telling since I'm pretty sure Butcher's been a war, and we saw what actually makes him tick firsthand.
It shows why he is the way he is and so rough around the edges, even when he's trying to do good. Like, instead of warning Huey not to keep taking the Temp V, he just knocks him out. I think that characterizes who Butcher is pretty well, and that's all because of his childhood and his relationship with his dad.
Yeah, he was getting him and his little brother drunk for fun, which, you know, isn't the worst thing, but pair that with the ass whoopings, the verbal abuse, the moral depravity, then you get what we've seen for 3 seasons already. Butcher is constantly teetering on the edge of the abyss of almost becoming the thing he hates, a man like his father was. Huey and Ryan take him back to the people he loved the most in his life, but also remind him of his greatest failures. He has to contend with the confliction of wanting to right the wrongs of his past by making sure Huey is safe and Ryan gets taken care of like Becca would have wanted, but also doubting he's good enough to do so.
Butcher, however, doesn't know if he can put aside his desire for revenge in order to do those things. You can tell that he cares for Huey and Ryan, but it seems like his goal of killing Homelander for revenge has just consumed him to the point where it's negatively impacting everything else in his life. He kept taking the Temp V, knowing it would eventually start to kill him because he cared more about getting his revenge than the safety of his own life. Vengeance is consuming him, but it seems like Huey and Ryan could be his last avenues of humanity.
At least he still has a path left. Homelander is just digging himself deeper into the abyss, calling out for Butcher to follow him. Even with him being there for Ryan by the end of the season, what kind of monster will he eventually turn him into? I mean, did you see that smile?
Yeah, Homelander really has the ability to influence Ryan however he wants, and I think Ryan is Homelander's reminder of Homelander's inhumanity and how he is better than everyone else. And this will probably lead to both Ryan and Homelander becoming eviler people, Ryan especially.
I mean, Ryan's just a kid. He has unbelievable powers that only one other person on the earth can relate to, and that just happens to be the worst person alive. But that person is also the only one reassuring him that the death of his mother wasn't his fault, the only one able to help him control his powers, and the only one that loves him, and he loves Homelander back.
Ryan just lost his only parental figure, so it's easy to see why he looks up to Homelander so much. And you can see that Homelander genuinely cares for Ryan because at the end of the season, we see Homelander kill a civilian in public after they just threw a can at Ryan. Homelander has never really slipped up in public, and he's always usually been really good at keeping his cool and hold back whenever something happened to protect his image. But when it came to something happening to his son, he couldn't hold back and just fully loses control in the moment.
Well, this whole season has been him realizing he has an audience for his insanity. He was so worried about losing his control in the beginning of the season with Starlight becoming coke captain, but when he finally cut the bullshit and let his nuts hang at his birthday, people dug it. His figures were rocketing.
Him too.
I mean, you think you have to be one way all your life, maintain an image that is truly not yourself, bottle everything up inside, and somebody eventually tells you you don't have to do that anymore. That there are people out there, a large number of them in fact, that like you for you. I'd be shooting too, but that's just me personally.
Pause. Anthony Starr's acting in that scene is also really good. He plays that relief from knowing he is accepted as being himself really well.
Yeah, his acting has always carried the show from being good to great. He's so committed to the role of Homelander. You know, he even practices being Homelander when he's not on call.
Ezra Miller was taking notes.
Even this very scene of him talking to this other side of himself in the mirror, this critical phantom berating him with his deepest insecurities, this figment of Homelander gives us an insight on the inner machinations of Homelander and what he truly wants as a human being, as John, and what the Homelander wants for himself. Another great display of not only acting,
but of method acting. That scene with the mirror was actually Anthony Starr in the bathroom of the bar he started the fight in. The crew saw him going off and they just started rolling the cameras.
Yeah, just like I method act doing my taxes or, you know, paying child support.
Soulja Boy definitely wasn't paying his child support.
I beat my meat into a cup. What?
Homelander literally came to him as a full-grown man with his son, begging Soulja Boy to be his father. That's one of the most sad and desperate things I've ever seen, but another window into his soul, proving that the yearning for a parental figure does not die out. He could be 65 and still want a daddy.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
And that's further reinforced when you see how hard Homelander tries when it comes to being a father for Ryan. He wants to give Ryan what he never had. Homelander kind of projects his desire for a father on his relationship with Ryan.
Since the beginning of the season, the whole scorched earth scene, he was adamant about finding wherever Ryan was and taking him from there. Like, he probably wished his parents would have done while he was experimented on at Vought as a child. A huge motivation was making sure he had his father in his life and that Ryan knew how much he was loved and the kind of thing he always wished he had.
Instead, he got threesomed by Butcher, Huey, and Soulja Boy at Herogasm, which honestly is kind of fitting for an event called Herogasm.
Yeah, I don't know how fitting that was compared to the comics. That really wasn't shit. I thought we were gonna get something even crazier than the urethra scene from episode 1. I thought we were in for something truly sickening. I was preparing to battle even more voices and demons in my head after the episode elapsed, but that was weak sauce, okay? That's a normal Tuesday on the hub if you ask me.
Wait, so Mother's Milk getting drenched by a not-so-sigma substance as he walked into a room is a normal Tuesday for you?
I meant with the anyways, you know who does get drenched in a not-so-sigma substance is Stormfront, Homelander's personal German milking machine for season 3. He has not had the best luck with people who are supposed to love him.
Yeah, I mean, imagine your girlfriend hating you so much she decides to start a subscription with Underworld Max Plus with Lucifer, Hades, Chris Pratt, and of course, Joss Whedon.
Listen, Hatrickfilms, your attempt to insult Garfield in my presence during the 4th quarter of my video is wholly unwelcome, my guy.
Garfield? I thought he was playing Mario.
Well, when you're the perfect actor, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Just like Homelander, the perfect actor, especially with #Homelight, which was all improvised as he was method acting. He forced Starlight to be a part of his show as a way to assert his power over her.
He had to get back at Starlight in the only way he could, which was in front of cameras, doubly cucking Huey, by the way.
A lot of the events, like you just said, and the events that play out in the rest of the season were kind of foreshadowed in the Scorched Earth conversation between Homelander and Butcher in the first episode. Homelander, even just from the backlash of his relationship with Stormfront, seemed ready to let loose on everybody. He kind of lays out a lot of what is going to happen in the season. The fire growing, eventually reaching a point of no return, and that is how we would get the Scorched Earth.
Which was going to be the last episode. You know, Homelander's subscription to life was about to lapse. He met the threesome from hell. They just had to switch out a bottom for a top and it was that easy.
If only it was that easy. If only Butcher was the monster that he honestly believed himself to be. Turns out he has feelings. Every Sigma's weakness, their own feelings.
Because the one thing Butcher wanted for the past 3 seasons, all for the reminder of his wife's death, but also her life, Ryan. He worked with the man who assaulted his wife and arguably changed his whole life trajectory victory. All for that kid, for Homelander's son, and the last piece of Becca on this earth. A tag team I-beam delivered straight to that ridiculous shield.
Seeing Homelander and Butcher work together shouldn't be so satisfying, but knowing they're doing it out of care for Ryan, and that being a major plot point of this season, makes it easy to get behind. Homelander and Butcher are two characters who absolutely hate each other, but they in many ways are very similar, so seeing them meet in the common ground, even just for a moment, is pretty cathartic, knowing that they are enemies, but at the same time, so similar. They are two sides of the same coin.
I really don't know what it is that those moments get us to feel what they do. Just 2 episodes ago, I was tingling just at seeing Homelander taking a punch finally. I wanted him to die, and in 2 Over, I'm rooting for him. Is it that we just want to see people do good, be human? Are we, contrary to popular belief, holding a burning desire to see bad people redeem themselves, foes make peace, and become friends regardless if it's fleeting? Maybe it's really just a bit of everything and more of some things than others for different people. All I do know is it's not going to stop getting interesting.
Also, in that same scene, you get to see Homelander fighting Maeve, and we get to see just how vulnerable Homelander could be. Even though this season we see him become more powerful politically and so on than he has ever been before, but we also saw the forces that oppose him become more powerful as well. He takes a beating at Herogasm, but his fight with Maeve was probably just as bad, if not worse. They take turns hitting each other, and Maeve does some genuine damage, even shoving a metal straw into his ear, causing him to bleed, and that's probably something that Homelander won't be forgetting anytime soon.
Hell no, that was gruesome. He has Ryan now, and he has his supporters. He's truly able to be himself now, and he has an audience for it. He blew the fuck up out of some guy's head for throwing something at his superpowered son, and he got an applause, okay? He's at the most dangerous point he's been to yet. He can truly do whatever the fuck he wants now, which means season 4 will be unrelenting. It's time for people to start getting taken up the chessboard.
And I think for next season, we will definitely see Butcher take actual Compound V, because he doesn't have much time to live anymore, and if he can't succeed in taking down Homelander, we know he will do anything to make it happen. He also has that added emotional investment to protect and care for Ryan now too.
It can go so many different ways with Ryan. Like, we all saw that smile. It feels like he's gonna go bad, or at least he's gonna snap. Maybe he'll kill innocent people or even be forced to. Maybe he gets wind of what Homelander did to his mother by the end of the season and he dips. I see him growing more powerful and becoming a genuine threat on his own.
I think the end game for the show, or at least what I think would be the best and what this season kind of introduced, is a depowered Homelander, and that would honestly probably be a fate worse than death for him, because his abilities and being the Homelander are what he values the most. The fact that the CIA and Mallory got Soldier Boy's body at the end of the season means that they might be building up to a possible weapon made from Soldier Boy's depowering ability.
That's honestly what I'm waiting for, to see this man in human clothes interacting in this world like a regular person. No more V to lean on. Homelander, no more. Who knows what will happen in season 4, but I do know it's gonna go off. Kripke, hurry the hell up with that release date, will ya?
And hopefully Anthony Starr doesn't get arrested again for his method acting, because, you know, that would kind of delay some stuff.
God, I hope he never sees this shit. Wait, holy shit, it's him.
How is he in 2 places at once?
No, I love you. It was his idea.
I can't believe I'm gonna die from an off-brand.
Spain!